Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about blame and why it's pointless to blame. Now, this could be blaming oneself or blaming others, blaming life, blaming circumstances. All of this is pointless. Okay, so I love to blame myself, right? Small things, big things, important, unimportant. I sometimes I get into this mode when I blame myself for everything. Things that I've done, things that I didn't do, things that I think I should have done, um, and these periods can be intense. I mean, I get it can last for days, where every small things I blame myself. Not only that, but also it's like this well opens up with all the events in my past, some of which I even forgot about. Like they're not even in my conscious attention at all, but they just pop out of the depths and like, oh, remember you did this? You useless piece of crap. That's what it says. So yeah, and those those days tend to be quite challenging. But I want to talk about something that I've learned about an insight that if you are struggling with a similar thing, may not be so extreme for you, or it may be even more extreme, the case might be, that I found helpful. Now, the reason why we blame ourselves is because we have this idea that we could have done something else. Okay? If only I did that. If only I didn't do that, then my life would have turned out differently. But I'm here to tell you that that's an illusion. The idea that you could have done something different is an absolute illusion. You could not have done anything different. You don't have to believe me. You can check it for yourself. So I want to do a short experiment with you. The experiment that I borrow from Sam Harris, whom I absolutely adore. If you don't know who it is, please just YouTube Sam Harris. Watch any of his videos. The guy is great. So what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. It's a very quick experiment. So just close your eyes. Now I'm going to ask you a question. And when I ask you the question, please just pay attention to your mind. Pay attention to what happens in your mind when I ask you this question. Yeah? Okay, so here it comes. I want you to think of a memory, any memory from your past. Okay? So if you did it and if you paid attention, you saw that the memory just came out of nowhere. It wasn't there before, but then it appeared, right? Let's try this again. Close your eyes. I want you to think of another memory now. Okay? One more time. Think of yet another memory now. Okay, so now if you've done this, you will see again that when I say think of a memory, something happens in your mind. It's like it goes into search mode, and then it finds something out of somewhere and it reproduces the memory. Now, the thing is, in advance, there was no way for you to know which memory was going to pop up. Before I said think of a memory, you had no idea what memory you were going to think of. Okay? So, why is it important? Well, if you pay attention to your daily experience, in particular your thoughts, on a moment to moment basis, you will see that all your thoughts have this quality, that they come out of seemingly nowhere, and you cannot predict what the next thought is going to be. Okay, so hopefully we agree on the thought thing. Now let's move on to behavior. What does this mean for behavior? Well, behavior usually comes after thought. So thoughts precedes behavior. Like, I want to turn around. I want to raise my hand. I want to go out for a walk. I'm not going to do that, but I want to enroll on a new course at the university. I want to have chicken for lunch today. All these, then the behavior follows usually. The first thing is the thought, then the behavior. But remember that we don't know where the thought is going to come from, which also means that we don't know where the behavior is going to come from next. And at this point, people usually get confused. It's like they tell me, okay, I had this thought that I should go smoke a cigarette, but I resisted it and I didn't smoke. Surely that means that I have control over my thoughts and that, I am the one thinking my thoughts. They don't come out of nowhere. I surely, I have control over my behavior. Well, no, you don't, because you missed another thought there that said, okay, that thought that tells you smoke, don't do that. What is that? That's another thought, right? The thought that says don't follow the thought is just another thought. And in that way, you can apply this to anything, and you will see that ultimately you don't have control over any of your actions. So you probably have guessed by now that I don't believe in free will. Well, this will be a topic of another video. I think it's a very important thing to talk about. But in the context of this video, we're going to use this notion of no free will to see that, you can already see that probably, that if I don't control my behavior, if the fact that I could have chosen to do something different is an illusion, why blame myself, right? So at this point, sometimes I get another objection. People say, well, surely some blame is useful in order to help us avoid mistakes, repeat the same mistakes in the future. And the answer to that is no. The blame is absolutely not necessary for us to learn from our mistakes. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have a meeting in the city center and I don't know how to get there. It's the first time I'm going there. And for some reason, I chose a route that took me longer. So I was late for my meeting. Now, when I did that, I already registered that I chose a longer path. And because I don't want to be late in the future, well, I don't, maybe you do, and that's fine too. Well, I don't like to be late. So for me, that's an incentive enough next time to go on a different route, the one that gets me there faster, so that I'm not late for my meeting. Where's blame here? Blame is absolutely not necessary. Then if I start after that, once I registered that the route took me longer, if I start blaming myself and say, oh, you always do this, you always mess things up, now people are going to think of, all kinds of things about you, this and that, and that blame is not going to be useful at all. In fact, what it's going to do is going to put even more pressure on me. And if there is pressure on me, then next time I'm more likely to repeat the same mistake again, because under pressure, we tend to make mistakes, right? So I'm trying to make a case here that no amount of blame, even a small one, is not necessary for you to learn from your mistakes. There's no need for that at all. Okay. Now, another objection that people give me here is, what about the good things that we do? Like the things that we feel proud about, right? So then the pride is pointless as well. And absolutely, my answer to that is yes. Pride is also pointless. Pride is a very limited emotion. In fact, pride and shame are cousins. You can't have one without the other, right? If you feel proud about some of your achievements, that means you feel shame about other things. Or if you haven't achieved these things, you would have felt shame about them, right? You can't have one without the other. They're both based on an illusion that you were in charge of your actions, right? Which I don't believe we are, ultimately. Now, many people, when I say that I don't believe in free will, they find this idea uncomfortable, and I don't blame them, because when I was told this the first time a long time ago by someone I knew, I kind of freaked out. What do you mean? No, no way. We have choice. I can choose to do things. But then the more I observe, the more I see that nah, probably not. Probably it's probably an illusion. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I actually like it this way, because again, this way I suffer much less. I don't blame myself like I used to. Now, again, so this is important. Does that mean that knowing this will stop you from blaming yourself? Probably not straight away. Now, for me, for example, I still blame myself. And when I get in those intense periods, I still blame myself. But if before it took me hours to get over blaming myself, now it takes maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just giving you an example. I don't know what the exact length is, but it's shorter. At some point, this realization kicks in that actually, what am I blaming myself for? Did I have a choice? Not really. You know, it's not a wishful thinking. It's actually true. You can test that for yourself. You don't need to believe what I say. You can actually test for yourself. You will see that you don't know what you are going to do next. You have no way of predicting what thought comes to your head and what you do as a result of that. Okay? But you may find yourself, like I do, that you still blame yourself after this. Okay? Now, that's fine. If you still see that you blame yourself, accept that. Right now, you blame yourself. That's fine. Don't make a mistake of blaming yourself for blaming yourself. You know, don't add another layer of resistance on top of your, self-blame. Because that way you are only strengthening the pattern. But when you find that you blame yourself, and this applies to any emotion that you experience, if you can just say, and this is very important, you can actually say that. In fact, I recommend you say that. Say it out loud. Oh, I'm blaming myself. So what that does, it makes the pattern conscious. And when it's conscious, it loses some of its power. Over time, you will blame yourself less and less if you keep doing this. Okay? So don't fight, don't resist the blaming. That will be a mistake. Just accept that right now, you are conditioned to blame yourself. So you're just perpetrating that pattern. That's fine. Okay? So here are my views on self-blame. Hopefully, I was able to convince you that there is no point in blaming oneself. If you found this video useful, please spread the word, and I will talk to you all very soon.